Let's go to the sort of last topic for our discussion, and this has just been great, but it's always a very fun meeting we have with our patients. As they've been diagnosed, we've done their adjuvant therapy, they're coming back to say, okay, now what? It's being called a survivorship meeting or a plan of care meeting, and we're being monitored on that. I think we have some common advice that we're giving patients. I'll just summarize quickly. Aspirin, everybody's sort of giving a little.
Especially if PI3K mutated.
Yeah, and particularly if you've got a mutation. Yeah. Exercise, everybody's in on that. Exercise.
Definitely.
Should,
definitely.
Do that. Vitamin D, right? Probably some data there. Yeah. But the fun one, of course, is tree nuts. And people go, what?
Tree nuts, not peanuts.
By definition, is not peanuts. But we've got with those four components, we are getting improved outcomes for patients.
It's often exceeding the effect of chemotherapy. I mean, to me, that's one of the more shocking things about these studies, is the hazard ratios and the risk reduction exceeds chemo in many cases, and all it involves is eating nuts or taking a pill every day or a supplement of some kind. And of course, exercise has so many other benefits as well. So, yeah,
the aspirin, the D, and the exercise have also been shown to decrease dementia. So when I pitch that to patients, I remind them that that's also on the list for those. I don't know about tree nuts and dementia, but anyway.
To be honest with you, I think that what this tells me is people that have healthy habits are going to do better, because probably the ones that are eating nuts also exercise more, and they don't eat ice cream for snacks, they eat nuts for snacks. Sorry, and they're trail mix. I just, again,
as long
sometimes...
as there's nuts in it. If there's nuts in the ice cream, you're good.
I have a hard time really knowing exactly what the direct distinct benefit is for the specific item under consideration versus for everything else confounding what people are doing right in their lifestyle. And I think it's really a healthy lifestyle advice that we should give our patients.
Well, I'm so obsessed with the microbiome that I'm convinced that these things are somehow altering the gut flora, our new immune system in the microbiome. I have no evidence to support that other than a hunch. But is that pretty standard of fare that you guys are going through that with your patients?
Yeah, I think these four items, it's what's the harm, right? I have to say vitamin D is the one that I'm not as convinced, but we discuss it with patients, because if you look at the phase 3 trials from stage 3 disease, those who had a baseline higher vitamin D level versus lower did not have a lower risk of recurrence.
You live in vitamin D-ville.
Well, but that study was not done in California, though. But we do. I think the polyp study was negative.
To your patients.
But anyway, it's a harmless strategy that we still discuss. So yeah, I fully agree. But one thing I may add is that we don't even know that those who have these healthy habits may have to start with a different tumor biology, and maybe those who eat nuts more than those who don't to start with had a better tumor biology, and that's why they didn't relapse. But again, harmless strategy. Mediterranean diet is also good, and those are things we discuss with patients.
There are things that give patients a sense of control in a situation where they're just at a time where now all I'm going to do is worry about whether my cancer comes back, and this gives them some kind of.
Yeah, so with that patient who wants that chemotherapy, I say, or you could do tree nuts, aspirin, exercise, and vitamin, right? And gives them some empowered in that stage 2 setting. Team, this has been just fabulous, and I really think incredibly informative, and I hope our audience feels the same way. But I want to give you one last shot to get some closing thoughts, and from each of our panelists. Gabby, you get to go first. Thoughts on where we are today in colon cancer?
I really think we have to really create new standards in rectal cancer, more uniformity for different categories of risk patients in rectal. I would love to see that. We do need to, again, keep in mind left versus right is probably the most we've learned in the last few years about colon, and keep up those nuts.
Good. That was 3 things. You got any left? Has she left you anything?
I would say I think continuing biomarker work is going to be extremely important. It's a very heterogeneous patient population. Look for the zebras. HER2 is very important to look for in your patients. I think even POL-E for immunotherapy, and so there, we have to basically stratify our patients molecularly.
Bert,
I'm a little disappointed in the last few years about what I think Wells already mentioned about just kind of rearranging existing treatments and not having as many new things to work with as I'd like. So, you know, I'd like to see us keep moving forward, you know, with new drug development and really, you know, hopefully the companies will focus on colorectal cancer as much as possible.
It's a big market, need to find some answers. Wells, you get the last word.
I agree. I think 2018, I think of it as a year of incremental benefit. I am encouraged by the fact that the whole seems to be greater than the sum of the parts, in the sense that we're getting these little changes, and yet control groups and overall survivals are often better, you know, as time goes on. So I'm encouraged by that. And I'm hoping that circulating tumor DNA, cheap, non-invasive blood testing will put us all out of business on colorectal cancer, and we can focus on pancreas and other things.
That'll be great. And 45 screening doesn't solve it. Yeah, we got to figure out the young people. So thank you guys. Amazing discussion and great information. And thank you all for joining us. On behalf of our panel, we thank you for joining us, and we hope you found this OncLive peer exchange to be useful and informative.